video game community is weird. Most people play video games. I don't think I know anybody who hasn't had at least a console or a portable system or something that they've used to play some sort of video game, but the topic of playing video games can be a frightening one to broach. And that's probably because the range of people who play video games goes from methodical, mechanical gameplay styles, hours of practice a day leading to fulfilling victories every time you touch a controller, all the way down to played Lego Star Wars with your brother once, and your controller was unplugged. When you're bad at video games, sometimes it's easier to just never try to get good at them. When I play Call of Duty, especially with people who are better than me, I get the real-life stress of being handed a gun and the collar to one of John Wick's newest dead dogs. I have people kill me over and over again in games like that, and then get bored of killing me over and over again, so they suggest we play online together, and then they get mad at me when their team score gets brought down like they weren't just watching themselves destroy me like it was our digital honeymoon in Nepal. Maybe during spring. This isn't a criticism of gamers, though. I actually really admire how good some people get at video games, and also I'm no stranger into putting a lot of time and energy into something that I really like. One time for film, for instance, we had to do an English project, like a short little video about a book premise, and a lot of people just shot something on their phones real quick, no editing necessary, and me and my best friend did this. What do you mean? What do you mean? So yeah, I'm definitely no stranger to the time and energy thing. Rather, this is more a guide for those of you who are trying to break into the video game community on gotta wait for it to load in. Motherfucker! So if you're wondering what my credentials are for being bad at video games, I have been playing them since 2006. I have owned every PlayStation and Xbox console that has come out since 2006. I have owned every Nintendo console since the Wii, except for the Wii U, because nobody bought the Wii U. So that just makes two of them. Whatever. And I own hundreds of games. And I'm still a little cold on the controls. So now that I've established myself, let's pick a game to play. So I wanted to say that picking a video game was the first daunting task you face when breaking into the community, but I was afraid at that point I would just sound like a wimp who was too afraid to even pick a video game, and I'm not a wimp, alright? I eat breakfast for dinner. And nails for breakfast for dinner. Still, there's about 1,000 new video games per year, and it can be hard to figure out which one you want to play if you've never tried playing video games before. Now, what kind of game you get does kind of depend on what kind of experience you're trying to have. For example, if you're looking to kind of immerse yourself in a world, but also sit alone in your room while you do so, single players are probably the best idea for you, like the new Spider-Man game, or the Spider-Man game, or Spider-Man, or Spider-Man, or Spider-Man, or Spider-Man. If you're trying to pick up video games when you're hanging out with your friends, the Nintendo Switch is basically perfect for that kind of stuff. Games like Mario Kart or Super Smash Bros. Are perfect if you've never fought with friends but always wanted to. Have you always really vibed with me but never had me angrily drinking water or insulting the way you absolutely brutalized my Pikachu? Well, I've got the game for you. And then there's online games, which are good if you're trying to play with friends that you can't actually see in person. These are the types of games like Halo and Call of Duty. I always find that I'm really, really good at games like that until I actually start playing them with friends and realize that they're doing things I've never even thought to do, like killing other players with the guns. That's why you have them. I didn't know that! So those are my big three categories for video games, and once you kind of figure out which one you want to play, you can start looking into which console you want to get. I personally think the PlayStation's the best for single-player games. It's got some of the best exclusives out there. The Xbox is the one I use to play with my friends because they all have Xboxes, and then the Switch is absolutely the best out there for in-person multiplayer stuff. So once you figure out what kind of game you want to play and you have your console, it's really just a matter of figuring out which specific game interests you. There's always some big trend game that you can get, but you also don't have to. It won't always be your cup of tea. Just look up game reviews online, or maybe watch YouTubers play video games. I love doing that. That's how I find new games, and just figure out what you think will be fun for you. Sometimes it won't be the most popular game. Sometimes it may even have bad reviews, but there's a lot of good stuff out there. You just have to find it. So, you have your copy of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the Stunner, but you're not quite good at it yet. Count Dooku, that fucking prick. First he took your hand, now he's handing you your ass. It's been a few days now, and like an idiot, you keep stopping to eat. Now your friends are coming over, and you're worried that your skill level in the game will be indicative of your intelligence in real life. And it is! You idiot, this game is for children, so if you can't do well at it, that makes you dumber than a child. When your friends come over, you can't complain about how hard the game is. They will be secretly judging you. You can't not address it, though. Their silent judgment grows even stronger. Well, never fear, an intellectual is here. Now, you have one of two things you can do at this point to help yourself. The first being, devote your entire life to video games. And I know, it may not sound fun to spend every second of every day in front of a console, especially if you like doing other things. But think about it like sex. If you're having fun, you're probably not doing it right. I know. That might sound a little bit drastic, but luckily, if you can't handle that, then I think I might have a better option for your pea-sized brain. Take your PlayStation 2 and chuck it. If you can't practice all day, every day at video games, that means you're not meant for them, and you need to go away and never, ever, 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 ever come back. The biggest leap for me to get over when playing any video game is probably the overthinking them. Because I don't think you're supposed to put this much thought into the idea of playing a video game. But the second biggest leap I had to get over when playing any video game is the idea of being judged by other people who are playing video games. Because in my head, everyone who beats me at a video game is trying to beat me specifically. And they're doing it maliciously, and every time I lose, I, to them, look like a giant dum-dum. And it took me a while to kind of decide that that's not the reason you should be playing video games, and that video games are supposed to be fun, not judges of your character. You can be bad at video games and still have fun with them, and so if you are bad at video games, that's not really a big problem as long as you're still having fun, and the people you're playing with are still having fun, I suppose. I'm not saying you're not going to get judged, you are, that's just part of the culture, but usually it's just good-natured ribbing from friends. Or incredibly hateful comments from strangers aiming to relieve you of your self-worth. But if that's the case, if some stranger is actually trying to hurt you, you have my permission to use the B word. Oh, you think I brought the whole team down and ruined your one spare moment in the day to play video games? Yeah? Well, you're a bitch. But I get it, even if somebody's not insulting you, it can be really difficult to be bad at something, and video games are really easy to be bad at. Luckily, it's so easy to be bad at video games that there is a treasure trove of to-do lists online. This is what I do every time I'm doing bad at a video game. I type it into Google and see how I can play it better. And there's a range of instruction manuals and videos online. It goes from how to be good at Call of Duty all the way to something specific like how to absolutely destroy Poison Ivy's shit in Batman Arkham Asylum. Beyond that, like I said, playing video games is mostly just about having fun. I personally struggle with the idea of being bad at something, and every time I'm not naturally good at something, I do just want to quit it forever, but I mean, like, they're video games. Just go be bad at them. They're not supposed to be these things that you naturally pick up and are good at. They're not supposed to be indicative of anything. They're just supposed to be fun, so if you pick it up and you have fun with it, it doesn't matter how bad you are. My gut reaction here is to keep going into some, like, inspirational bullshit about just trying at something until you're good, but I think it's just the camera makes me feel some faux sense of importance. Hey, you. Live your dreams. Get good at Mario Kart. know a lot of this video has been aimed at people who don't play video games but are looking to get into them, but now I want to take a little bit of a turn into people who have been playing video games and are just bad at them, because you guys need something. I know I do. It's weird because playing video games actually is a big part of who I am. I play it with a lot of my friends. It's a part of a lot of my memories, very, very distinct memories. It's actually a big bulk of my relationship with my father in my early years, and I just suck at them. I suppose there's something you could take from that, like how life isn't always going to be about being good or the best at something, and sometimes it's just going to be about living it and experiencing it and having fun with it, and you are going to be bad sometimes in life, and it's just a part of the rich tapestry that makes you up. But, there's not really a joke that goes with that, and these are supposed to be funny, and they're leaning very, very far away from it so far, so I'm just going to keep moving. The first step for those of you who are bad at video games to take involves natural instinct. It's very powerful. Avoid it. Avoid natural instinct at all costs. I too like to really zone into the game, get to a space where my hands meet the controllers, they are one, and I'm weaving in and out, and I feel like I'm inside the character, and that's normally when people kill me. You do not need to feel like you're inside the character. You need to be very aware of the buttons you are pressing on your plastic controller that is not a part of your skin hands. But also don't overthink it. If you're thinking you're doing nothing in the actual game and you need to be doing something, there is a very specific middle ground you have to play in here. You have to be thinking and acting, but not acting out of instinct, because instinct is when people kill you because they're thinking more than you're thinking. But if you're thinking more than they're thinking, they're killing you with their instinct. It's a very, very Okay, I'm being overzealous, obviously. I'm not kidding, though. The next step, if you're losing a video game, is just to try to find something to enjoy about it. I think video games are so easy to get caught up in winning or losing that you sometimes lose what makes a game fun. For example, Rocket League is a highly competitive game that I suck at. It's like soccer, which I also suck at, but with cars, which I also suck at. It's a perfect game to get caught up in about winning or losing, but it's also a really fun game with really interesting mechanics, and it's super fun when you get a shot creatively, or when you block a shot in just enough time, or just doing anything, or just if you feel like you had a really good game despite the fact that you lost. I think all of these things are what make the game fun, so whenever I play the game, I don't really care that much if I lost. Except for when I do care, because again, I am super petty. And most games are similar. They're made up of different clever and interesting mechanics that you can mess around with to try and see what's fun. That's why I like video games. I've never been a big competition guy. I'm more of a give-up guy, but I do like exploring the interesting world that these people create through video games. In Smash Bros, for example, you can play with a bunch of people and barely have to touch anyone to get a win, but that's not what's fun about the game. What's fun is finding a creative way to get a kill or save yourself. When you pick up a video game for the first time, you're not drawn to the competition, you're usually drawn to the game, the mechanics, the world, all that stuff. That's what's appealing about a video game. Alright, let's move on to my personal suggestions for games you can buy. Games that I specifically have been enjoying recently are the newest installments in the Hitman franchise. They're very fun. You play as a hitman executing different missions, and the levels are fairly linear. Each of the stories are pretty self-contained. There's an overarching story that goes over all 3 games, but I suggest you pick up the first game, and if you like the story, you can play all the way through to the last one. You don't really need prior knowledge of the franchise. They're super fun. The levels are fairly linear. There's a bit of exploring you can do, but for the most part, if you want to just play straight through the game, you can, and there are helpful little prompts that'll help you if you get lost. The new Spider-Man games are also pretty fun. That's a more open world game, but you can play through the story pretty quickly and then explore around if you are into that kind of stuff. You find backpacks, you find pigeons, you find all sorts of stuff that's really cool if you're a Spider-Man fan, which I've been all my life. Finally, if you're looking for a first-person shooter, I've been having a lot of fun with the second to newest Call of Duty game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the Xbox One version, because there is a 360 game of the same exact name. But the new Modern Warfare is fun. It's a steeper learning curve, but if you get the hang of it and you like first-person shooters, I think you'll love this game. Now here are some games I would suggest to you specifically if you have never played video games before and you're looking for a place to break in. Grand Theft Auto 5, in my opinion, is one of the best games you can start with if you've never played a video game before. It is very vulgar and very violent, which is kind of a staple of video games these days, but it's also super fun. It's self-contained. You don't have to play any of the other Grand Theft Auto stories, and I mean, it's great gameplay. It's an open world that you can explore, and it's beautiful and vibrant. It's just It's bank robbing, gunfighting, plane flying. It's great. Plus, there's an online mode that can get you used to the idea of everyone who plays video games hating you. If you want to play something with friends, I have yet to get sick of Mario Kart 8 on the Nintendo Switch. It is super easy to pick up, but super rewarding once you actually get the hang of it. I've been playing that with Anita, who doesn't play a lot of video games, and she really likes it, and I am way better than her at it. That doesn't have anything to do with the suggestion, it is just important to me. If you're looking to try out a first-person shooter and you have a pretty okay computer, you can download Valorant for free, and it's super fun, and it has modes for people who aren't trying to play competitively or who are learning to play the game for the first time. I play that game with a friend of mine, Selena, and she's better than me. Again, that has nothing to do with the suggestion. The knife just cuts both ways. You can also try specifically the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Zombies mode, a game I've played with my cousin for forever now. And the reason I suggest that one specifically is because it's a fun zombie killer, but more importantly, it was an overlooked Call of Duty game because it was bad. But the zombie mode is super fun, and if you have friends who play Call of Duty religiously, they might have missed out on this one, so they may not be that much better than you at it at first, at least. And with that, I think you have all the tools you need to be bad at video games. Prepare to enter a world where everybody hates you, and you probably hate yourself just a little bit more. But remember, video games aren't meant to be stressful or worth making an almost half-hour video about. They're just supposed to be fun, so go out and entertain yourself. That's all they're for, and they are really good at that. I hope this video was interesting for those of you who don't play video games. For those of you who do play video games, I know that I butchered a lot here, and that I didn't make as many jokes as I normally do in commentaries, so I'm sorry that you watched till this part. But I mean, why'd you watch until this part, guys? Come on, I gave myself away at the very beginning. Anyways, I'm rambling. Either way, thank you all for watching,